It is 12:15. You know what that means. It's time for the Sports Hour. Of course, this is Curtis Collings presents the Sports Hour. It's no one else's Sports Hour but mine. I don't know why I'm so entitled to it today, but I'm proud of it today because we got a lot of fun things on the repertoire and we got a lot to talk about, which is shocking because I almost spent all morning thinking to myself, what am I going to talk about today? There was no Blue Jays yesterday. The Panthers didn't, do anything. The Leafs aren't doing anything. Raptors, more of the same. I thought, what am I going to talk about? AEW hasn't released anything about Collision because they're pumping a lot about Death Before Dishonor tonight. We might talk about that if we have time because shockingly, I found a lot to talk about. And I got to thank, the Cowboys for trading away their star linebacker and arguably best defender in the entire league. And then I also have to thank the Blue Jays for setting up a huge series this weekend against the Milwaukee Brewers. Stay tuned for that when we talk about it in about 15 to 20 minutes. And if we do have time, we will be talking about Collision tomorrow night and Death Before Dishonor tonight. But first, we have some big news for the Sports Hour. And this is going to be coming next week as the football season is getting closer and closer. And if you're on this channel watching me live, you might be questioning, well, this channel, I've only ever seen this Curtis Collings guy. And of course, the channel is called the Collings Thode channel. Well, where's the Thode? I mean, it's an excellent question. I don't blame you for having that question. My answer to that is you will be meeting him next week live on the show as he will be guest appearing on an NFL prediction special episode where we go through every single team, how we think they're going to finish record-wise, and roast each other for our bad takes and agree on a lot of other things. And I know that the Packers are going to come up big time in that discussion. So next week, make sure you are tuning in to the channel. Make sure you are tuning in every single chance you get because he is going to be on, whether that's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's definitely not going to be Thursday because that's when football starts and when we do a big AEW Dynamite recap. So it's going to be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Make sure you stay tuned because I am super excited about that. So an early announcement, we got it out of the way because we'll get into the football talk, but I'm super excited about that. Of course, if you're a longtime subscriber of the channel, you know Nolan. He's not new around here. That's, of course, the second name in the name of the channel, so it's only right that he is the first guest on the show. If you've seen test streams that have been deleted, then you would know my dad has been on the show before, but that's not an actual guest appearance. So that's very exciting. Of course, as I said before, we'll go back and forth on the team's records, how we think we're going to do. He's, of course, a Bills fan. I'm a Panthers fan, and I know we're going to upset some diehard fans out there with some hot takes. I know the NFC South especially is going to see some takes that I know some people won't enjoy, so I know that this is going to be a ton of fun. So, speaking of football, let's do it. Let's talk about the major NFL trade as we are 5 minutes into the show, and I think now is as good a time as ever to be talking about the biggest trade of the entire offseason so far, which is Micah Parsons getting sent to the Green Bay Packers for a defensive tackle, Kenny Clark, who is a Pro Bowler, as well as a first this year and a first next year. And that's it. That's all it took to get Micah Parsons, who, in my opinion, because of his defensive versatility as a linebacker, is the best defender in the league. I value him over the the premium pass rushers in the league because he can do more for me while being a premium pass rusher. He's still a guy that's going to get 10 plus sacks a season while doing more than a TJ Watt, while doing more than a Myles Garrett. Well, those guys will flirt with 20 record-breaking sack seasons. Sure, that's great and all. And you do have to game plans very specifically around those guys. I think Micah Parsons makes game planning that much more difficult. And in my opinion, is the best defensive player in the league. And now he's on Green Bay, which has always had a very solid defense. And their offense has a ton of weapons. No true number one weapon. Maybe Matthew Golden steps into that role, but we'll have to wait and see. It's a team that's lacking a true number one weapon, but Jordan Love has elevated this roster before. I have no doubts he could do it again. And with that defense leading the way, it's going to be scary. So that's my breakdown initially of the trade. I guess we'll get into the fun parts of the trade. What in the world are the Cowboys doing here? Seriously, what is this move? If you're looking at this from a Cowboys perspective, as a Dallas sports fan perspective, you want to cry. You want to dig a hole, crawl in it, and probably bury yourself because you're so sad. Luka Doncic and now Micah Parsons. Two of the biggest stars in all of Dallas sports gone in a calendar year. Horrible stuff. Inexcusable. I'm so sorry, Mark Cuban. It's not your fault that Luka was traded. That's the new ownership and, of course, Nico Harrison. And now Jerry Jones, who's orchestrated this disaster class of a trade. I was already pretty... Actually, no. If you remember me talking in early episodes, I was actually kind of high on the Cowboys. I kind of liked them heading back into this year with Micah Parsons if they were able to re-sign him, which I'm shocked they didn't. It's... Come on. Like, I guess they couldn't have signed him, CeeDee Lamb, and Dak Prescott, but I don't know. I think it's worth it to do it, at least for 1 year. I don't know. He of course, immediately signs in Green Bay, so there's no issues there. This is just wild to me. Ridiculous to me. I do not get it for the Cowboys here. I just think it makes their teams infinitely worse. And if we look at their depth chart, on defense, which I do have pulled up on Our Lads, it is nothing special. Of course, Clark Kenny joining the team is a former 3-time Pro Bowler. The 3 times he has made the Pro Bowl are in, let's see, I have it written down. It's in 2019, 2021, and 2023. So every other year. So that means this year he'll be a Pro Bowler. But I'm also pretty sure he's on a 1-year contract. So he might just leave anyways. Plus, he's 30. He's going to be 31 this time next year. He's like 30 and like 300 days old. Or he's 29 and 300 days old, excuse me. So he's going to be 30 as soon as the season starts. I don't get this for them. Like, it's a Pro Bowler, sure, but like, it's the 2 first-round picks. That's the real value here. I saw on Twitter someone immediately put this into Madden, and the Cowboys declined it in real life. So there's that. As much as you value Madden. But this is just ridiculous to me. This is a horrible trade. If you're going to trade for picks, trade with Carolina. Why didn't you just come trade with the Panthers? We would have given you 2 firsts and then like some mid defensive tackle. That would have at least stayed longer than 1 year. Because that's the thing. Our picks would have been way more valuable. You could then trade our picks for other players. A lot better than you can trade the Packers picks, who very legitimately could be like 14 or 13 win team. I don't think 15's in the cards for them, but 13 to 14 wins, absolutely. If they win 12 games, legitimately, I'll be kind of disappointed in this Packers team. That's my ceiling, which... Again, I keep pivoting to the Packers because I really do want to get into that, but I need to stay on the Cowboys. We'll talk about the Packers later. So Micah Parsons, if you're uneducated, unaware, he made the Pro Bowl in 2019. He made he's a multiple-time Pro Bowler, a multiple-time All-Pro, and was the 2021 Defensive Rookie of the Year. And you don't do that by accident. Almost every single year he's been in the league, he's been a Pro Bowler, and then the years where the Cowboys are good, he's been a All-Pro, which is even better. Crazy trade to me. I mean, I heard the quote that Jerry Jones wants the Cowboys to be a soap opera, and he's absolutely done that. I just don't like it. I don't like it at all for them. Um, I really think it puts them firmly third. Even with a good offense, it's going to put them third. I mean, they were already going to be third in their division in the NFC East. So they were screwed regardless. Like they were going to be done. Because I think the Commanders are going to be excellent. I think the Commanders are going to be flirting with 13, 14 wins. I think the Eagles are going to be a 12 to 13 win team. And now I think the Cowboys are going to be lucky if they win 10. 10 is their absolute peak. I think they're more likely than not to be a 9-8 team, but in that division, they could very well be a 8-9 or a 7-10 team just because of how tough the competition is. And then there's the Giants, which I feel bad for, but they're going to have a fun year. They're going to be bad, but they're going to be fun. So there's that. It'll be fun as soon as Russell Wilson gets benched for Jameis Winston or Jackson Dart. We'll see when that happens. So I think that week 5 for the Panthers is going to be excellent. I'm very excited for that to come about because I think there's a very real shot that we beat the Cowboys, which would be so cool. Especially if we beat the Dolphins the week before. If we could beat the Dolphins and then the Cowboys in back-to-back weeks, that would prove that we're a legit team this season. So let's go Panthers, Cowboys. That was ridiculous. And I'm not sure if... I'll check, actually. I'll check if we face the Packers because, wow, this Packers team looks so dangerous. Checking. I'm sure on this. Yep, I have Jalen Coker on this fantasy team, so I could just go through the game log. We're looking for Green Bay. Yeah, we faced them week 9. And we're definitely going to lose to them week 9. I'm chalking that up to an L immediately because I really do think this is going to be a 14. And what would that be? Yeah, 14-3 season for Green Bay. And I think they're going to do that without difficulty, very seriously. So, yeah, that's going to be one of the 14. But thank goodness we only played them once. I feel bad for the Vikings facing them. Rookie J.J. McCarthy facing off against a really good, I think, I don't know. I think the Green Bay Packers defense is good. I guess we'll have to wait and see if it really is. But I think they will, and I'll stand on that. I'll die on that hill, that this is going to be a really good defense this upcoming season. So, the defense is going to be good. The offense is more likely than not going to be good. I mean, Jordan Love has had lesser weapons in this offense and still finished really good fantasy-wise and in real-life standings. I mean, when they were a 7 seed and beat the Cowboys in the first round, Jordan Love was outstanding that year. If he can get back to that 35 touchdown, 10 interception range, and I have no doubt that he can, especially with guys like Tucker Kraft being a sneaky weapon at tight end, sky's the limit. It really is. If Matthew Golden can really come out and be that wide receiver 1 for them, that they drafted him to be in the first round, then I love this team. And I'm scared of this team as a fan of a team in the NFC. So look out for the Packers. It's probably something that Nolan and I are going to agree with when I have him on the show next week. So, hey, make sure you tune in for that. And again, what will this mean for the standings? The NFC North, unless the Motor City Kitties, the Detroit Lions, win 15 games again, you got a new division winner in town, and it's Green Bay. And I don't really like the Packers very much. I don't say that lightly, but I think it is. I really think that they can force the Lions to take a slight step back. And by that, I mean only win 13 games, and they win 14 games. And then the Vikings win, we'll give them 10. We'll give them a step back for sure, but we'll give them 10 games. And then the Bears. The Bears are in there. I don't know. Bears might win 7 games if they're lucky. I don't know. I don't believe in them. I really don't. Not in that tough division they play in with a new coach who I like, but I don't know. I don't know if I believe in it. First year with that new coach, Ben Johnson. It's going to be tough. It's easily the best division in football. It's either that or the AFC West with the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos, who are all amazing, and then the mid Raiders, who, with the signing of Amari Cooper, drafting of Beck, and retaining Trey Thornton, they have Jacoby Myers still. They have Brock Bowers, Geno Smith, and Pete Carroll joining the crew. They'll win 6 games, maybe 7 if they're lucky. So it's also a very good division. I think that division, the AFC West and the NFC North, are going to be eerily similar. But again, we'll get into that next week. I'm revealing a little bit too much, so I guess we can move on to our next topic, which is going to be the Big Blue Jays series. This is going to be huge. So huge. Biggest series of the year for the Blue Jays, huge. It's going to be up there. I think maybe our Yankees series in September is going to be bigger, but hey, I mean, I really think that this is going to be very important. This is going to tell a lot for how confident I am in this team moving forward, and especially in the playoffs, which we do have a playoff prediction coming up after this. So we'll jump right into the preview. Game 1 tonight, and the big story is Bo Bichette is coming into this game with an 11-game hit streak. Can he extend it to 12? That's the question that is posed on Reel, the sports app that you can use on your phone. Not sponsored. I just really like them. I picked yes. I think he's going to get a hit, and 90% of people also picked yes. If you want the stats on that, that's 1.1K, 1.1 thousand people saying yes, and 116 saying no. So I'm part of the majority, but hey, I'm an optimist. I'm liking this Jays team. The starting pitcher tonight is Shane Bieber, so we should all be huddled in front of our TVs watching this game in absolute anticipation. I mean, his last outing, dominance. Can he do it again? We'll find out. And then for Milwaukee, it's going to be Freddie Peralta, who is a very good pitcher this year. 15 wins, 5 losses, with a 2.68 ERA. Quite good. Quite good numbers. I mean, an ERA under 3 this season, where the offense has been pretty good this season, and pitching stats haven't been at their greatest. That's a good year. Of course, the best pitchers, Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens, have great pitching stats, but it's those two guys, and then there's a gap. A big gap. Anyways, I mentioned the hit streak for Bo Bichette. We'll see if he could keep it up against Freddie Peralta. I will mention the race for 300 and how many guys can we get there, as this is something I've talked about in weeks prior. So Bo Bichette, he's batting .307. He's gotten up above that 300 mark, which I'm very excited about that. Vladdy is at 292, so if he finishes the season very hot, he can do it too. And we have Georgie, who's at 303, as he has been super hot. So good. Since August 16th, which was his return from the concussion, he's been batting a 391 with a 2.55 OPS, 6 home runs, 10 RBI. Out of this world stats. That is unreal production for someone his age, someone coming back from injury, just someone in general. If anyone did that in a stretch that is at least 14, 15 games long, I'm impressed with them, let alone George Springer, who I love. So game tonight, I'll let you know what time it is as soon as I find out. It's 7:07 p.m. Go check it out. I know I will. I have nothing else really on deck for tonight, so I know I'm doing that. We'll look at game two as well. I kind of sped through that first game though. I'm just really excited about it. In all honesty, it's going to be huge. And I guess we do have a lot of playoff predictions to go through after this. I guess in the last 10 for Toronto, we've been 5-5, which is not great, 500. But for the Brewers, they're 4-6, which is worse. So, haha. And we are playing at home, which is very nice because we are 44-22 at home, hoping to extend that. We do have a little Alejandro Kirk playing catcher because we did have the day off yesterday, which is beautiful. We're going to have our best lineup out. So tonight of all games should be a win, should be the win, like a big win. And then the weekend is when it's going to get tough, as tomorrow's game is going to be at 3:07, and taking the mound is going to be Gausman. At least that is who is projected through my sources. He's 8-10 this season, and his ERA is in the high threes. It's not been his best season. I can safely admit that. Which isn't good. I'm not happy about that, but, he's our guy, and I trust him. I still trust him personally. I still list him as one of the playoff starters every single time I go through the playoff starters, even though, no, he doesn't have he's not top 3 in the Blue Jays right now based on his numbers. Personally, based off just one game of Bieber, it would be Bieber, Scherzer, Barrios. That's my 3. Bassett and Gausman, statistically, just don't make the cut in comparison to those guys right now. But of course could belong in that spot. And of course Eric Lauer too. Of course, horrible outing his last time out. And we talked about it and we got mad about it. But when he's on, a guy I trust as well. And a lefty. He's a lefty starter. We lack those. Every single guy I mentioned, I'm pretty sure is a righty. So do with that what you will. So Kevin Gausman, if he gets, upwards of 10 strikeouts and we actually put up runs for him on that hot summer's day, I don't actually know if it's going to be that hot. We're getting pretty cold here in Toronto. But on that day, Saturday, 3:07 p.m., we'll see how he can do on the mound. And then the offense, of course, we'll see how it does today. I don't actually know who will be starting for the Brewers. It's going to be Brandon Woodruff, who's 5-1 since his return to injury, and he's been quite excellent. So Saturday's game, it's going to be a huge test. And then moving on to Sunday's game, the last game in the series, of course, just a 3-gamer. Monday, we immediately move on to our series against the Reds. So no travel against the Reds, plural, not just one Red. My bad. But Sunday will be the last game in the series against the league's best Milwaukee Brewers. And Sunday's game will be at 1:37, which unfortunately we won't be getting to do a live commentary, a live watch along together like we have before. But we will know that, Brandon Woodruff is actually the starter for Sunday's game. The starter for Saturday's game is Quinn Prestier, who's 11-2. Pretty much every starter has a great record for the Brewers. He has a 3.44 ERA, which is the real story here. So Saturday's game, I'm feeling good. Sunday's game, I'm feeling nervous because Woodruff is great. And we got Max Scherzer in, who I also quite like. And he's having one of the more impressive old man pitcher seasons, legitimately. He's been borderline excellent some games. So, Mad Max, I'm all for it. Take the mound and face off against Brandon Woodruff. My big hope for this series is to win 2 games. If we can win 2 games, I'm happy. If we can win 1 game, I'm okay with that. If we get swept Monday, I'm going to be legitimately upset. You're going to get a sports hour that might just be an hour-long rant about how we're not going to do anything come playoff time if we're getting swept by an actually good team. Because that's the big thing. That's the conversation we always have. Oh, this Blue Jays team, it does good against good teams, but they do bad against bad teams. Well, this weekend, ultimate test. So let's see. If we sweep them, Monday might be an hour of me just glazing the Blue Jays. I might spend 10 minutes per player, and we might just make this a 90 to 2. It might be a 2 hour long podcast of me just glazing each player individually for how they did the weekends, but I doubt we'll do that, and I doubt we're going to sweep, so rest easy. That's not happening. Regardless, though, I'm very excited for this weekend of games. I'm going to be keeping my eye on them as much as I can because this is a huge series against an NL powerhouse. While I don't think the Brewers are going to be a World Series team, we'll get into that later on. Of course, we have our MLB playoff predictions to come up later on, but I think they're going to be good. And I mean, I don't think they're the only 80 win team in the league. So I know they're good. And that's why this is the biggest test of the season so far. So I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm anxious. But overall, it's going to be a good series. And if we are going to lose a game, I think it's going to be that Saturday Kevin Gausman start because we hate winning when Kevin Gausman's in. We just, I think those are the real bad bullpen games most of the time. So it'll most likely be that game. So it's exciting. And the end of the MLB season is always the most exciting time. I mean, it's why I kind of wanted to start doing the Sports Hour now is because it's when it's most important to be covering Blue Jay games and letting, people know what's going on. So I'm very happy to be able to report this stuff. And we're just about 30 minutes in, halfway down our Sports Hour. And we only really got our MLB playoff prediction left. And, of course, any AEW collision talk. I think our playoff prediction is going to take a little bit of time just because there's a lot of rounds. I don't have official games, but I could spitball. We're here having fun, aren't we? That's the point of it. So, again, I'm excited for the playoffs. I am very nervous about the Blue Jays odds moving forward. If I was smart, I'd calculate the mathematical odds. That is, of course, what my girlfriend asked me to do. I don't know how to do that. There's definitely a way to do that, but that's beyond. I just like talking. I just like being wrong and getting made fun of for it. It's fun for me. So that's why we're going to do some playoff predictions as, look forward to this weekend. Watch all the games, and I know I will. We'll see if I tweet about them. If I do, it's going to be at Curtis_Collings on Twitter. If you search Curtis Collings, I'm sure you'll find me. So, MLB playoff predictions. I went on the website. I figured out how it works. I'm pretty sure I got this correct. Well, no, not the predictions correct, but I'm pretty sure I have the format correct. So we'll see. Before we get into the playoff predictions, we will talk about playoff standings because another reason why this weekend is going to be so huge is that we're facing the best team in baseball. The Yankees and Red Sox are facing some of the worst teams in baseball. The Red Sox are facing the Pirates for 3 games, and the Yankees are facing the White Sox, who are worse than the Pirates somehow. So both of those, they're going to win at least 2. Most likely both sweep. Which means that teams that are 4 and 4.5 games back are suddenly going to be 1 and 1.5. So we have to win these games to make sure they stay 4 or 3 games back and pray they lose. Let's all become White Sox and Pirates fans this weekend because we have to. So this is going to be big for playoffs. And for my playoff predictions, it is going to be just as if the season were to stop right now. So that's how we're going to jump into this. And we might clip this off to make an individual YouTube video because why not? So I'm going to do a little intro for that. So a little midstream. Hello and welcome to the Collings Network channel. I'm Curtis Collings. And if you see up in the top corner there, you're watching the Sports Hour, of course, presented by Curtis Collings. We've talked about a lot of fun stuff today. We've had big news, which is going to be next week. We have Nolan Thode coming on the show. We have the major NFL trade of the Micah Parsons going to Green Bay that we talked about. And then we previewed the Blue Jays versus the Brewers series. And with that, we are going to get into our MLB playoff predictions. Now, this is if the MLB season were to stop today. So let's jump right into it. The American League third best team is facing off against the American League third wild card, so the worst team. That's going to be the Astros and the Mariners. As well, the other wild card series in the American League will be the Yankees versus the Red Sox, which is going to be the second and first best wild card. In the National League, it's going to be the Mets versus the Phillies, which is an unreal series. Super excited for that. A 3-gamer, first to 2 wins. The other one will be the Padres and the Cubs, which is also super exciting. My predictions, I have the Astros beating the Mariners in 2 games. I think it's going to be a clean 2-game sweep. I have the Yankees beating the Red Sox. There's no real winner I want to choose in that series. I hate both these teams, but I really think that we're going to get the Yankees winning. That's going to be in 3 games. I have the Phillies over the Mets. I think the Mets are chokers, and I think it'll be hilarious when they lose in the wild card in 2 games. And then I have the Cubs over the Padres in 3. I think that's going to be a battle. And this sets up the divisional series, which is going to be the ALDS of the Blue Jays versus the Yankees and the Astros versus the Tigers. 2 terrific 5-game series. And my winners of those are going to be Blue Jays over Yankees. We slay the New York Beast. The Bronx Bombers go down to the Blue Jays. And that's going to take all 5 games. And then in the Astros versus the Tigers series, I got the Tigers beating the Astros, finally making their claim as a top team and the top team. As we'll get into later, sadly. Looking at the NLDS, we have the Brewers versus the Cubs, and we have the Dodgers versus the Phillies. Also, amazing series. Sadly, Dodgers versus Phillies is now and not in the championship series, but hey, it had to happen. I got the Cubs upsetting the Brewers. That's going to be in 3 games. They're going to take 3 straight and sweep them. And then I have the Dodgers beating the Phillies in 4. And then the Tigers, I have them beating the Astros in 4 as well. So then that sets up the championship series, which look amazing. For me, at least, it's 2 of my favorite teams, the Blue Jays and the Cubs. The Blue Jays are going to be facing off against the Tigers, and the Cubs facing off against the Dodgers. And they're both going to lose. The Tigers are going to beat the Blue Jays, most likely in 7 games, because that's how the Blue Jays like to do their heartbreak. And the Cubs are going to lose to the Dodgers. That's going to be in 5. And the Dodgers are going to be rested and ready for the World Series, where they are going to face off against the Detroit Tigers. It's going to be a good series. 7-gamer, 2 of the top teams, and both with good pitching staffs. One team obviously looks a little better than the other. And that team is more likely than not going to win. Of course, I'm talking about the Dodgers, but if Game 1 has Tarek Skubal starting, then the Tigers are taking Game 1. Then I think the Dodgers are going to be taking Games 2 and 3, maybe 4 as well, and going up 3-1 in that series. Tarek Skubal might need to make an emergency short rest start to take Game 4 or 5 back to make it into either a 2-2 or 3-2 series. But I really think it's going to be over in 6. The Dodgers are going to be your MLB World Series champions. As much as it pains me to say, it's not going to be my Blue Jays, as you see the banner behind me, but I got to be, impartial. I can't let my biases shine too much. I really think the Dodgers are built to go back-to-back, as I'm almost certain they won last year. I feel like, come on, the Dodgers won last year. I'm not making that up. Or was that? No. It was. It was Dodgers over Yankees, which was very good to watch because I hate the Yankees more than I hate the Dodgers. So shout out Freddie Freeman and your Canadian citizenship because you hit that monster home run, and I really think he's going to do it again. Luckily, I'll cheer for the National League team because the Tigers are going to beat the Blue Jays, so obviously I'm going to cheer for the Dodgers to beat the Tigers, but if the Tigers win, that means the Blue Jays lost to the World Series champions, which would be just like 2015, 10 years ago, when the Blue Jays lost to the Royals. And then I like what you're saying here, Dave Collings. I think the Jays starters match up well with the Tigers, and I really think they do too. I just don't think our bullpen does. I think that's where we're going to eventually start choking the important games. If we can squeak out a 5-game series against the Yankees in 5, there's no way that we're going to beat the Tigers immediately after that in a 7-gamer. It's the bullpen. That's really what it comes down to. It's the bullpen, and if the offense is able to keep up with the bullpen's shortcomings, because I agree with you fully. I love our starters, but not enough for us to be a World Series team. So officially, Dodgers over Tigers in 6 games. If you're here on the YouTube video, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you tune in every single day, 12:15 to 1:15. I'll be live with Curtis Collings Presents the Sports Hour. And randomly throughout the year, you'll see videos like this pop up. Sometimes there'll be stream clips like this. Other times there'll be actually written videos, sometimes by Nolan, maybe sometimes by myself. But either way, thank you very much for watching this video. See you in the next one. Now we're back to the Sports Hour normally. The YouTube video is over. Back to the live show. And yes, you see my points. The bullpen is leaking absolute oil. It scares me. We could keep talking about this a little bit more informally now that it's not the YouTube video that I was like, really trying to ham up. But of course, the bullpen is scaring me. Every single game we watch them, it scares me. And in the playoffs, it can only take you so far. And the bullpen's super important. That's why teams like the Dodgers win World Series, because they don't bring out guys like Nestor Cortez and throw games like the Yankees did. So that's the big thing, and that's the big difference between great teams and good teams. We're a good team, but our bullpen is holding us back from being great. So that's my fear. Sorry, Blue Jay fans, but yeah, we're not going to win the World Series. Not this year. Now, if we had signed Shohei Ohtani 2 years ago, would we have? Yeah, obviously. But that didn't happen. So, c'est la vie. Who's the big fish? Kyle Tucker. If we could sign Kyle Tucker to replace George Springer, I would say we're 2026 World Series champions. Very seriously, I would. If we're going to throw out some hot takes, we're going to throw out some Blue Jays biases. Yeah, 2026 World Series champs if we sign Kyle Tucker from the Cubs. Because he's that good. He might win NL MVP. If we could sign him for like $40 million a year, I'd do it easily. And I think he's a difference maker in the outfield. He's the type of guy we've missed since we had Teoscar Hernandez playing like at his absolute peak, who Teoscar Hernandez is most likely going to go repeat with the Dodgers. Makes me mad because I really liked him. But either way, playoffs I am excited for. Regardless of my trepidation, regardless of my pessimism, I think the playoffs are going to be a great time. I think because we're going to win a bunch of games, we're going to get to Game 7 in the American League Championship Series. That's good, and that's a step up from where we've been in the past forever. And if we don't, if we lose in the divisional series, or if we choke away the American League, lead, American League East lead, and become a wild card team, we're probably just going to lose in the wild card again and fire Schneider at that point. If you really want my honest opinion, that's more likely. I think actually, my honest opinion, because that whole thought experiment there was if the season ended today. If I was to actually predict end of season, I think we lose our place at the top of the American League East, and I think we lose in the wild card. And it's horrible to say that, but I think we are just missing that star other than Vladdy and Bo because we just need a bit more, a tiny bit more. It's what George Springer was meant to be. That's big free agent signing that keeps us even keel, that keeps us level by being our best player when we need them to be the best player. Right now, Vladdy is Bo sometimes if you like the consistency in his hitting, but just like imagine having that star outfielder, that day in, day out all-star like George Springer is playing like right now, which is why we're winning more than we're losing. Not in our last 10, we're 500, but you get what I mean. But if we had a guy like Kyle Tucker, a proper MVP candidate in the outfield, then this team, I would have no doubts in the world that we would win the American League East. But we don't. We don't have that. So, who's to say what happens? I don't know. We'll have to keep our eye on it. And the bigger thing is going to be how this weekend goes. Now, I'm kind of shocked that I got 20 minutes left in my sports hour because I thought this was going to take me a lot longer. I wrote a ton of notes for this, but I kind of got through them pretty quick. So, AEW has not given me a ton of stuff to talk about because they have not announced a single thing for Collision. Hard to believe, I know. Which I don't believe it personally. I will live on the show. I'm gonna go scroll through the entire AEW Twitter and see if anything's been announced for Collision. Stuff's been announced for Dynamite next week, which I guess I'm gonna be forced to talk about, and of course, a lot of stuff has been announced for tonight's ROH pay-per-view, Death Before Dishonor, which we will be talking about. I have notes about that. But after we go through that, we will look for anything about Collision this Saturday. Tomorrow, it's literally tomorrow. I want to know who's wrestling because I want to know if I'm going to tune in. There's a very good chance that I could just play video games all night tomorrow and forget to tune in because I have no clue who's wrestling. Give me a reason to tune in, Tony Khan, please. So we'll go check. There's a good chance he might have updated it since I looked, which was an hour ago. So let me drink this water. Let's go over ROH, Death Before Dishonor, and then let's jump into the Twitter space. It's just going to be me looking at Twitter. I'm sorry. We're going to stay on this layout the whole way. All right. So, AEW Death Before Dishonor. It looks like it's going to be a really fun show. I know 3 matches right now. We might find out 3 matches. Or we might find out more matches when we go hop onto Twitter later on. But for now, let's talk about it. Hechicero is taking on Bandito for the ROH World title. I said that backwards. Bandito is taking on the challenger of Hechicero. Who belongs to the Don Callis family. This is for the world title. It's going to be an amazing match. I'm very excited about it. We've seen it develop during the 8-man tag match. Of course, Bandito and Hechicero faced off a couple times in the ring, and they're very fun together. I think it's not going to be on the same level as a Konosuke Takeshita versus a Bandito, but it's going to be quite good regardless. So it's a match that I would definitely say to, tomorrow, Saturday, try to seek out online. I know I'm going to, and we'll talk about it Monday if it's a good match. And if it's not, then we just won't talk about it at all. It won't be worth the time. The other match that I know about, weirdly enough, 2 matches, because they've both been announced. So, lore time. When I went to All in Texas, I got to watch the ROH Trios and Tag Team Champion Dustin Rhodes. He's from Texas. He is the Trios champion with the Von Erichs, who are the 2 boys who are at the end of the movie The Iron Claw, in that really sad scene where they said to their dad, we'll be your brothers. And it's a terribly sad scene that made me cry in the theater, and I know it made a lot of other people cry. Those 2 boys grew up to be wrestlers, and they are now the ROH Trios champions with Dustin Rhodes. Well, on TV about 3 to 4 weeks ago, Dustin Rhodes got stabbed in the leg with a screwdriver by Kyle Fletcher. That is when Kyle Fletcher won the TNT title and has started the amazing run he's had. This has warranted Sammy Guevara to then fill in for both the tag team titles, because he and Dustin were the tag champs, and then for the trios titles. So he will be wrestling in the trios title match, replacing Dustin Rhodes. That's going to be against Shane Taylor Productions. I didn't write that down. It's just in the bank. And then he is also going to be in the tag team match with a mystery partner. We don't really know who that's going to be yet. I don't even have a prediction, honestly. I'm very excited to see who that's going to be. And they're going to be wrestling the Outrunners. And I thought there was a good chance the Outrunners were going to win this, but because it's a mystery partner, I now am almost guaranteed that they're going to win. So we'll see who it is. I'm excited to see. I mean, that is, it's exciting as it gets. Mysteries in wrestling, how does it get better? And that's all I know. For the card, for the mystery, for everything. I know nothing about Collision. And then, of course, we have an 8-man tag match that is announced for next week. So we'll hop over onto the AEW's Twitter and pray they've announced anything for me to talk about. They have of course, it's going to be in the same building. AEW Collision is going to be taking place in ECW Arena. The crowd was amazing Wednesday, and if you missed it, wow, that Wednesday Dynamite was special. Go watch it back. Just treat it like a movie. Put it on the TV, get some popcorn. It's 2 hours of action nonstop, and I think it's definitely worth your time. And yeah, going through their Twitter, they haven't posted anything in over an hour. So no new information about Collision. Yay! I'm so happy about that. Can't you tell? So yeah, going through their Twitter, they've announced shows in Australia next year, which is super exciting. That's going to be February 14th and 15th, a little Valentine's Day special for AEW in Australia. Let's see. So yeah, this is where I found out about Hechicero facing off against Bandito. I also learned through this that Hechicero's first name is Ray. I never knew that before. So there's some breaking news. That's going to be, again, super fun match. Very heavy with the lucha, because, I mean, both guys are lucha libre wrestlers. They're luchadors. And it's going to be so much fun. The holds they're going to put each other in, the dives they're going to do, the stretches, literally everything is going to be so much fun in that match. My favorite match of all time is a lucha libre match. It is Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio Jr., Halloween Havoc, 1997. All-time favorite match. I could watch that any place, anytime. It's my comfort match. My second favorite match is, of course, WrestleMania 17, TLC 3, Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, now Cope and Christian, and the Dudley Boys facing off for the tag titles. That's my second favorite match. But easily number one is that Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero match. So I'm a big fan of Lucha Libre. I think you should check this out. Lucha Libre, it fascinates me just how technically talented some of these guys can become, and how I will never, ever be on that type of level. Even if I trained for like 10 plus years, because these guys, more likely than not, have been doing it since they were like 8, 10, 12 years old. So there you go. I guess we'll talk about it. Wednesday night, it's going to be Hangman Page and Kenny Omega teaming up for the first time in years. They're joined with Jet Speed, which is going to be Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. They're going to be facing off against Kyle Fletcher, the Young Bucks, and of course Josh Alexander. But the Bucks are also wrestling, which if you check the Bucks Twitter, they had no idea. They wrote like, what? So there's that, which is pretty hilarious, which that's going to be amazing. Look out for that. Kenny and Hangman tagging for the first time. For the first time in my like appointment viewing every Wednesday at 8 p.m. I watch it like it's a doctor's appointment. And it's going to be my first time since I've started watching week in, week out that I've seen Kenny and Hanger tag together. And that's special. They talked about Nine Belts Monet. They're going back to Houston, Texas, which was, of course, similar area. I mean, Arlington, Texas was where All In is. They're also going to San Antonio, doing a big Texas run. Of course, the tag matches that we already talked about. They are going back, of course. If you are a regular here, then you know Dave Collings in the chat here, my dad. He likes to throw out some theories, and he talked about when they go over to England again later in the year. That's going to be December 13th and 17th. They're in Cardiff, Wales, and Manchester, England. And he threw out the idea that, hey, that's where they should do their AEW women's tag belts. I said, please, let's do those sooner, but it would be cool. It would be really cool. So, hey, maybe that's when it is, December 13th and December 17th. That's going to be a Collision and Dynamite. And then, yeah, pretty much I've gone into the Dynamite highlights, the post-show packages, and we've run out of things to talk about, because I guess I haven't. I've actually gained a huge thing to talk about here. Something that angers me. And ranting is my favorite way to kill time. So we are going to rant and rant and rant. Because why are there no matches announced? This is bad business. This is as bad business as it gets. In an era where WWE is trying to counter program as much as they possibly can, they do the Saturday Night Main Event again. That's a counter programming to Collision. They do pay-per-views on the same weekends, on the same day as AEW pay-per-views. They're running one of John Cena's last matches against All Out because they are sad. And in this era of counter-programming, you want to be able to have as much business and eyes on your product as possible. Just talking in a business sense. And I'm someone who roots for the success of AEW, because when AEW is doing good, their product, like their TV show, does better when they're doing better as a whole. And to do better as a whole is to do good business. It's as simple as that. It's look good, feel good, play good at its core at the end of the day. And it is absolutely, as you say, absolutely baffling business practice by Tony. Thank you for giving me a script to read, because I absolutely agree. It kills me that the show is tomorrow night, and me, an avid viewer of Dynamite, who sometimes tunes into Collision when I know there's good matches, doesn't get to know any matches. And so now I'm like, all right, why tune in? Right now. Why tune in other than the fact I know it's AEW and I know it's going to be good? Now me, I literally talk about AEW basically daily on this show. So of course, I'm going to watch, whether it's Sunday, whether it's Saturday, whether it's Monday morning before I even go live. I'm going to watch Collision. I will. But someone like my brother, who doesn't watch every day but follows online, if he goes on Twitter and sees 3 or 4 bangers lined up for weekly TV on Collision, he might just watch. But right now, I could tell you with certainty he's not tuning in. And I don't mean that as disrespect. It's how normal fans watch the product. This is how normal people keep up with sports nowadays. And wrestling is sports just as much as hockey or basketball. A lot of sports fans don't watch every hockey game, not every basketball game. They follow along online. They watch the highlights. They read what other people say, and they formulate their own opinions. And that's a very normal way of following along. And you are not catering to those people one bit, one iota, by not announcing these matches. It leaves people to just fantasy book Collision, which is boring. I want to fantasy book pay-per-views because I want you to give me my storylines in front of me. Legitimately, almost like I'm a baby. Just spoon feed me it. Just pump it out on Twitter, pump it out on TV. I don't get it. And here's your point, and I like this. They're already announcing the top matches for All Out on September 20th because of the Fed counter-programming. It should be common practice week to week for AEW. Completely agreed. It's what I started my rant with, and it's the core idea. And you absolutely nailed it. I couldn't have written it any better myself. It's the core of competition is to give yourself as much of an advantage as you can. And announcing your matches early, giving people reasons to watch AEW, that gives you an advantage. We're not going to say it's war and Raw is war and Dynamite is war and we're warring against each other, because really at the end of the day, it's AEW against AEW. It's how good can AEW's product be week in, week out, and how do you make a better product? You get more people to watch, because then that makes you just subconsciously put a better show on, because you know you have to. I promise you, if I had 1,000 people watching this, I would be dialed in. I mean, I would still have fun, and I'd still have moments like this where I'm relaxed and I'm talking just candid, but I would be so dialed in. I would prepare for at least 3 hours if I had 1,000 people watching. But right now, I get to do my thing. I know who's watching. It's the thing. It's ticket sales. It's eyes on the product. It makes you better. It makes the wrestlers better. It makes the writers better, and you get more people watching. Simple as that. So I could rant about it until the end of time, really, because it just does not make sense to me why they don't announce their matches. It helps. Again, and that's the problem too. They know they're going to sell out the ECW arena. It's just the fact of the matter. So why announce anything? People are there already. I'm sure that that's a voice in the back of someone's head, because yeah, I'm pretty sure if you look ahead, you can't buy tickets for the ECW shows anymore, which is not surprising one bit. Not surprising. But does that give them the right to not announce matches for us watching on TV? No. So, I don't know. It upsets me personally, just as a diehard fan who again follows the Twitter and ingests almost every single thing they pump out. I am a mark through and through. I want to know these things. I want to be a better fan. I want to be a bigger fan, as much as that can be. Because I know there's bigger fans out there than me. But, if I could even get close to that. And for you guys, if I could bring both that information and find out things that just I could find out from being a diehard fan, and then relay it to you while being entertaining, that's the real goal here. And they don't even give me a chance to find out publicly accessible things like what the card tomorrow is going to be, or what the rest of the card tonight is going to be. I don't know anything other than those 3 ROH matches. I'm sure Athena's going to wrestle someone for the ROH World Champion. I'm sure the Pure Champion is going to be on the line. I'm sure the TV Champion. Do I know any of those matches? No. Could I find them out? Probably. Will I? No, because they weren't on Twitter. And that's the big thing too, is you can't expect fans, the average fan, I'm a diehard, I probably would have seeked it out online if I were to talk more about ROH, but I don't talk that much about ROH. The regular fan is not going to seek out, Google the card for the ROH Death Before Dishonor card. Like, they're not going to Google that. I'm not, personally. So why do you expect the regular person to? I'm a diehard and I'm not doing it. And you expect an average fan to Google what the card is for tonight? The only thing you've announced was the 2 Sammy Guevara matches in the main event. On Twitter. On your main AEW Twitter. For a pay-per-view tonight. It's bad business. It's bad business through and through. I don't get it. Hire me and I'll fix this. That's a lie. That's a big responsibility. But I think I could. It's not that hard. You just gotta constantly promote, which personally I do a bad job of for this show. I'll be honest, but I'm getting better. I made it short today to go live, to go up before I went live. I posted on Snapchat. I could have posted on Twitter. I'm sure my dad did for me. It's simple things like that make eyes come. If I were to post on Snapchat, on YouTube, on Twitter, what I'm talking about each day, and hashtag the necessary people, I would get more viewers. It's not difficult. It's not a hard process. And the fact AEW hasn't figured this out, a multi-million-dollar company, a billion-dollar company, pretty much at this point, confuses me. And I knew it. I called it. I'm a bit smart. I'm not super smart. I'm a bit smart. So I'll give myself a little bit of credit. We got 1 minute left here in the Sports Hour. Curtis Collings presents the Sports Hour. So I thank you for tuning in. Something I realized today, if you're a longtime viewer of Collings Throw Network, you would know that the sports podcast existed. And I'm realizing that I have this certain just love for the acronym TSP. the sports podcast, the sports hour. We'll find out what the next thing I name that has that same acronym, because there's something about it that just calls to me apparently. So there you go. Rant over, the sports hour over. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will be back Monday. I promise we will be back Monday. I've missed 2 straight Mondays. I'm making it kind of a tradition to take 3-day weekends. I'm not trying to do that. I'm sorry. So Monday we will be back, and maybe, just maybe, we get Nolan Thode on. You'll have to wait and see though. So thank you very much for tuning in. And until next time, this has been Curtis Collings Presents The Sports Hour.